Hey guys, welcome to our Strange New World Season 1 season finale, final verdict, and episodes 6 through 10 review. So we're wrapping it all up, the last half of the season, and then what we thought overall of the series. So I'll just start there with the finale and the overall of the series, and then we can go into the individual episodes that we missed. But I just got to say, this is the best... NuTrek, the best of the NuTrek, so to speak, from Kurtzman and Goldsmith, something like that. It's fantastic, and as a whole, I think it finds its voice relatively quickly. It returns to where Star Trek is best. It's, in my opinion, it's strong. Even in relation to some of the older Trek, it's hard to compare it with this nostalgic stuff. Like TNG for me is like the Bible, and it's fucking awesome. But season 1 of TNG was kind of rough. Honestly, it's hard for me to recommend people like start with season 1 of TNG. No, you kind of want to maybe be season 3 start of TNG. This one is one where I can be like, start with Strange New Worlds. Like if you're into Star Trek, you want new Trek, this is what I could recommend. And for that, I think it's better, in some episodes than season 1 of even TNG. And that's fucking hard to do. And it feels weird coming out of my mouth because this is the same producers and minds behind Star Trek.
When you throw 100 things at the wall, something's going to stick. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I disagree. I think that the fans were begging for this, and Paramount Plus was like, more Trek? Sure, we need content for a new service. So you wanna what's the next thing? Well, I guess the fans want an episodic kind of serialized, where we go on different missions. Strange New Worlds. It's right in the fucking title, and it's what makes this series the best. And I gotta say, it is buoyed by an excellent Captain Pike.
Yes.
Anson plays this so perfectly. I love how his commanding style is different than we've seen from Kirk. It's different from Picard, different from a lot of the captains, Janeway and Sisko, and it's very family. You feel like a family, and he's like, he's like the cook, and he's, friends with his crew and stuff. And I think of the 10 episodes, this is a much shorter season than a lot of Star Trek we've had in the past, so it's kind of difficult to compare. You make one misstep here, it feels more like a big misstep, right? Rather than because 24 episodes, where there's a filler there, you'll forgive it. One misstep here, and it kind of stumbles. But there are some really, really high episodes here. And the fact that we are in 2022 and we get some amazing backgrounds, some advanced technology, stuff that they could never do in classic Trek or TNG. The sets are just amazing, and that's really awesome. And this series in particular has a beautified version of space. If you look in the credits or the intro song, like everything just looks amazing, and I really, really like that aesthetic. So I am very, very happy to see that Star Trek Strange New Worlds lives up to exactly what I wanted it to be, and I highly recommend it to anyone. So I'm going to go final verdicts on the Season 1 itself right now, and I'm going to give it, I'm really between a 9 and a 10, and I'm trying to figure out, should I give it am I grading on a curve because we literally just got done with the worst season of Star Trek in Star Trek Picard Season 2? Or, where should I put it?
Season 3 hasn't come out yet, so that might be worse.
Yeah. So I'm between a 9 and 10. I'm going to make a decision later on, and I'm going to kick it to you guys to tell me what you thought of the series and give it a final verdict for the Season 1.
Whenever you guys actually talk about Star Trek, this is what I actually expected to see as opposed to what I saw before. This I really, really enjoy watching. I like the whole submarine warfare, the moral compass of what's going on. It's like, well, can we, can't we? They kind of teetering on that line. and just everything about it. I just love the tension that this actually has. This is actually,
I'm crying.
I do like it.
Yes.
So,
And I put Joe through Discovery. I put Joe through Star Trek Picard season 1 and 2. I put Joe through other Star Treks. So I'm it's bringing a tear to my eye. I'm very happy
so
to hear
this has been pretty good throughout the whole series. There's a couple episodes that were okay, but overall, I still enjoyed watching it. I would probably give this, I'm between an 8 or a 9.
Yeah. To add on to that, I was showing my girlfriend as well, and she's like, no Star Trek. I've never seen Star Trek, and I'm like, keep an open mind, and she really liked it. She ended up liking it, so I think it is a good gateway into Star Trek as well, because it's got the visuals, got the action, but it still has the good morals and the kind of, the strange new world stories. So you got to go. I know I'm still searching between 9 and 10, and you're 8 and 9. What are you going to give it?
From what I saw before, from what I've seen before, this actually feels like what you guys actually reminisce and like, oh, remember this episode, and there's tension filled, and this is actually the best Star Trek that I've seen. I haven't seen the old stuff.
Yeah, well, you've seen no Star Trek really, so your statement, I just want people at home to remind you, you've never seen any of the good ones.
That's what I was saying. There's an asterisk there because I haven't seen the old stuff or whatnot.
That's fine.
I've seen the movies, but
That's fine. And we don't want to get too caught up in, does it live up to every single other fucking Star Trek episode that's ever been? It's like, does it do the job that it sets out to do, and how well does it do that job?
And
for me, I think
it's
a
9.
9? Okay. I'm very nervous to kick it to Alex because I want him to like it. I want to go through what all the episodes happened, but you've seen it all, right?
Yeah,
you tell me what you think.
I think this is the best. I mean, you said it before, and it's a statement that means nothing. Me saying this is the best of NuTrek is just like you could have a blank screen and it'd be the best of NuTrek.
Okay, that's totally fair. So then let me add on to it. It is even good amongst old Trek as well. I like it better than Star Trek Enterprise.
Yes.
I like it better than many filler episodes of Voyager, many filler episodes of DS9. I like it better than season 1 of TNG, except for a few of them are really good in TNG.
Well, it sounds like it's up there.
It's up there, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it is good, and I have enjoyed it pretty much the whole way through. I think there were 2 episodes that I think one was a little kooky, and the other one, there's another one that just kind of goes off the rails. And so I honestly, I think that in a 10,
I know which one
in
you're
a 10
talking
episode
about.
series, if there's an episode that I really don't like and another one that's kind of okay, I couldn't give it like a 9 or a 10. And if I'm grading on the Star Trek curve, there's some high end stuff. TNG is a series that I've watched over and over and over and over again. And I like if you,
The Star Trek
I've like grabbed people. I'm like, you're gonna watch this with me the whole way through, and because it's a franchise that I absolutely love, and so I think this was pretty good all the way through. I think it captures the feel of Star Trek and I don't want to give the producers any credit whatsoever. None.
You don't have to.
Because and the reason I'm not going to is because they dragged us through so much shit for like a decade in NuTrek, garbage, awful NuTrek, and all we wanted the entire time was this. Yeah. And this, honestly, this isn't peak Trek. This is just really good. And pretty good stuff. And that's all we wanted the whole goddamn time.
Yeah.
All right, so back on this series. I am liking it. There's a couple episodes that I didn't like as much as I should have. And if I'm realistic about it, I think that puts it like a 7 or an 8.
I'm gonna push you for an 8. Come on.
I don't know if it's. I mean, look, there's an episode that I think is almost bad.
I disagree. I like that episode.
Okay. But yeah, I don't.
Except for his motivation at the end. We'll get into the nitty gritty on that one because there's one clear episode that everybody picks out as being weakest amongst.
Yeah, and it's just like I wouldn't watch it again.
The cosplay episode.
Yeah.
All right. But that's just one, man. It was one.
I think. Well,
look at the heights of the other ones. Okay,
Freaky Friday isn't that good.
It is. That shit was fun, dude. That was a great R&R episode. Let me give you a breakdown of the. Was the R&R episode a 10? No, but it doesn't need to be. I mean, I'm not expecting you to give this a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
that's too sacred.
If I'm
for
giving
you.
sevens, if I'm giving 7s and 8s to the
Sure.
whole series, then I got to give a 7 and 8, like to each individual episode. Then I got to give a 7 or 8 to the whole series. Like
So before I make my final decision and Alex goes between the 7 or 10, let's just do a quick overview of the 10 episodes. So 1, I think, and this is from my perspective, you got a great opening episode of good diplomacy, right? 2, great Uhura episode. I'm like, oh, thank God. They're focusing on the individual crew members from time to time, and everybody's contributing to the action, whether you're on the asteroid or you're on the ship, and it's got that interesting. It kind of looks like Prometheus, and they throw in a little third, what is it? Encounters of the Third Kind of thing with the music. Now, episode 3, great Una episode. The ship is under attack by everybody. This glowy virus. Everybody's glowing and shit, and you have some reveals there that's interesting. Episode 4, one of the high points. You've got this Gorn action episode. It's very Wrath of Khan as they try to fight the Gorn in a nebula. It's fucking awesome. And then they follow that up with it's like, well, fuck, how do we top that? We'll do a great R&R episode where we're having fun, we're doing jokes, we're having a Freaky Friday. Then episode 6, we've got Pike has the old love. He runs in the old love, and he is horrified to see how this culture uses basically a child is kind of sacrificed for an entire planet. So a little darker. They test a little darker.
But
it doesn't
like
quite.
that, though.
I know.
Yeah.
I like that. It doesn't quite end the way you want it to end, and it's like, hey, this is a matter of fact. This is what happens.
It's out of our jurisdiction.
Yeah, and then 7, it's a little weaker for me. It's a space pirate episode. Once you get the reveal of the thing, it's like okay, yeah, but it's, and then they bring in Spock's girlfriend some more just to thing, but they do have a fun mutiny. It reminded me of Alex. It's like, how do you quickly get to somebody to turn? You feed them good food, and they're like, we need this guy. This guy, let's listen to this guy. He cooks way better. And then you have 8. That's the one, Alex, I bet you doesn't like. It's a cosplay episode, fantasy dress up. It's kind of cheap because they kind of just throw plants on the ship. And then I cannot believe the final decision. It's a really stupid decision, and
Agreed.
It felt rushed. Because no father would allow that to, at least I wouldn't. Anyways, episode 9 is fantastic. Another really high point. If a bit derivative, I will admit that it's completely derivative to Aliens and Predator with the Gorn here. But it's done really well to where, like, okay, I'm enjoying this very much. They explore another Constitution class, and there's a character death here that's like, oh shit, okay. This is interesting. You can and will kill some of these characters that we know. There's real consequences. And then finally, episode 10, another very high point of the series. You got Pike and Pike, future Pike. You even got a cameo by Kirk. He's not really doing Kirk, but he's doing his own Kirk. And it's just a great Romulan encounter episode with big implications. And it kind of wraps up a little bit the Fate storyline. And hopefully it wraps it up and we don't have to do any more of that shit when we go into season 2, because it's already been approved with season 2. So, knowing that, I have come to my final verdict. What about you, Alex? What is yours? 7 or 8? Do it. 8. We're bullying you.
I think that every episode outside of a couple are like solid 8s, and then there's a couple.
And there's 2 that you did not
There's
like.
a couple bringing, like, I think one of the weaknesses with the series, and I've brought this up over and over.
All right, that's
the endings for these episodes are just so fucking convenient. Like, oh, we figured it out. Like, I don't feel any of the ingenuity, and like, it's not the smart Trek that I know and that I love a lot of the time. And that is that is a big like.
There's a few that does smart, and then I agree with you. There's a few that does dumb.
Yeah,
yes,
and then so it's like. And it happens over and over and over again.
Okay, how about this? What if it's a 7 on Star Trek grade and it's an 8 on NuTrek grade?
It's an 11 on NuTrek grade. Like, this is one of
It's an 11.
like, seriously, it goes to 11 if we're talking about NuTrek, how bad everything else has been.
You got to merge them, though.
7.5. We've merged them.
No! There's no half points. There's never been half points on the AngryJoe show. I don't like wishy-washy. You make a decision. Be a man.
Okay.
Do the right thing.
All right, well, I got to go with the 7.
Fuck! Hey, I asked for it.
Yeah.
All right, 7 out of 10 from Alex, and I am going to go 9 out of 10 for me. And yes, I'm grading it on a little bit of a curve. I'm bumping it up a little bit because I'm so happy. It's what I asked for, and it's exactly what I got. I expect the writing to improve from here and the stories to get even better. So that's it, guys. Let's go into the individual episodes now. So starting from where we last left off, episode 6, this is where the boy was essentially sacrificed for an entire planet. This shit was dark, you know. It was like fucking... I thought he was going to save the
I didn't think they were going to do it either.
He did not save the motherfucker. The boy gets injected with all this. They even wheel out
the old boy.
the old boy or girl or whatever, and his fucking charred ass body. I'm like, well, that's crazy. And then again, it plays into how the Federation has a prime directive. Do they have the authority or right to, completely say fuck your whole civilization, even though everything's running great?
Beautiful planet.
Beautiful planet, but I do like the moral conundrum. And he's like, well, you know what? I may not be able to, do what I want to do about it, but I am certainly not going to be fucking with you no more. And fuck all these people. I'm out.
You crazy bitch.
It's a classic cultural relativity episode that's common in Star Trek, and I think it was pretty well done.
I liked it.
It was very well done.
I really liked
what's
it.
the rating you would give episode 6?
But this one I really liked because it was like the moral dilemma. It's like, well, we have one child that suffers as opposed to like your planet.
Mm-hmm.
You have multiple children starving and in poverty and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I didn't think that it would go there.
Mm-hmm.
For this one, I'm going to go with a 9.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed
That's
this
a
one
good
with a little betrayal and this espionage.
Yeah. Alex?
I'm at an 8 or a 9. I think this was...
Then you're at an 8.
Yeah. 8. Hey, I round up a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, 8.
8? Okay. I am going to go 9 on this one. And to bring people up to speed on episode 1, I did 8. Episode 2, I did 9. Episode 3, 7. Episode 4, 9. Episode 5, 8. That's the Freaky Friday. And then this one, 8. So, episode 7, we get
Pirates!
These space pirates take over the Starship Enterprise pretty easily. I'm very disappointed in the crew. T'Pring is also back. And I'm like, what are we doing here with Spock's wife? I get it. It adds depth to the Spock character. You can explore relationships from a Vulcan standpoint, and that's always fun. But it's like we know what happens in canon, and are they fucking around with canon? It just feels like I don't know. It's written so that we can get some interesting stories, right? But I don't think T'Pring needed to be in this episode. I don't think she should have anything to do with it. They're really setting up a seed for maybe what they want to do in episode 2 by revealing Spock's evil brother, that we've seen in Star Trek V, the movie. I don't know. You haven't seen it, Joe. Anyways.
Bigger eyebrows.
Dun, dun,
Yes,
dun.
even bigger eyebrows.
Bigger and bushy eyebrows. Anyways, space pirates take over. We do a little bit of a mutiny. The captain starts cooking for them, and I'm like, okay, I buy it. Especially if they've been out here in the fucking outer rim eating fucking gloop, and Joe can relate with that right now. Not eating the best food recently, and I just thought it was fun. It was a fun episode, but this counselor lady, like, you see it coming a mile away, she's like dressing like a fucking...
You didn't expect me. I was like, I did.
Yeah,
we
I'm
did.
so over the top in my dialogue. Once I take over, it's like, oh, God. But I did like that moment. I got to point out this moment where I just love Captain Pike and his portrayal from the actor. He's all talking like a pirate on this. Yeah, you made these. And the crew's like, one crew's enjoying it. Ortega's enjoying it. But Una's like, please stop. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll stop. I'm like, yes, I like him. And this is the kind of stuff that makes it, that endears you to him. And now my girl's on board because she really likes the captain and his personality. But yeah, that whole plot line was, so you got the mutiny, and then eventually it's cool because they bring this fucking pirate ship, and it's like the bridge of the pirate ship is he's got the fucking wheel, and his crew's on either side like it was a 18th, 19th century ship. Yeah, it was kind of cool. So I liked it, even though it was a little, what do you call it?
It's a campy,
tropey thing. So I ended up giving it a 7 out of 10.
Agreed with you. I'm going to give it a 7 as well. I thought this was very campy. Lo and behold, I didn't expect the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
So I thought this one was pretty campy for Star Trek. I was like, okay.
I get it.
It
gets campier than that.
Yeah, it does.
it gets
It's
worse.
like, okay.
It
But
gets
no,
worse.
it was an enjoyable watch. It was funny.
Yeah.
Nice little change of pace.
Yeah, definitely one of it was a weaker episode. I still enjoyed it. I don't think the story was super strong. But I'm going to say this is an above average episode for Star Trek. I'm going to give it 6.
Let me also pay lip service to the kiss between Spock and Chapel. I don't remember enough of the original series to remember if they had a thing going on in that. And they're kind of teasing at, Chapel and Spock's flirtation and thing, and they kind of come to head where he has to fake like he's having a relationship with Chapel in front of to Pring. But she gets it and she understands.
She knew.
But at the same time, we see Chapel, I think, really does have a crush on Spock, and they can play with this in the future. Anyways, episode 8, we come to quite possibly the worst episode of the season as people, watch this one. And honestly, I liked. I was like, and I heard the complaints before I watched it, and I said, you know what, this ain't that bad. I was actually really enjoying it. This medieval fantasy cosplay aboard the ship. I thought it was creative. Sure, it's a little cheap that they're just reusing the sets and not actually building every fucking thing. But it's like, if we look at what sets they did in TOG, even TNG, I can forgive it because it's like that. So not everything needs to be the epic fucking backgrounds that we see in the Alien Predator episode later on in the season, because that had some great backgrounds. But the entity that they're next to in this nebula is getting a story from the Doctor's daughter, who was introduced in a previous episode. And I honestly thought that this storyline with his daughter would wrap up. It seemed like an ongoing thing, and it would have a great resolution. It has the worst resolution.
Yeah, I was like, no way, I do not believe this.
Not so much the whole fantasy, because I think it's fun seeing the captain play a coward and, people play over the top. They're doing over the top acting.
It's from the child's mind.
On purpose.
Yeah.
So, but when the entity gives him a choice to take his daughter away, I was like, oh no, are you serious? Is this how you're going to resolve it? I would say, fuck no, I don't know you. I don't know where you're from. I'm going to continue working on this. But no, he agrees. And I'm like, I don't buy it. I don't buy that motivation. So what did you guys think of this episode?
Same. At the very end, I didn't believe that at all. Because before, didn't he try to power up the, what was it? Rewrite the power to save her. And
yeah, he almost kills every single person on the ship. Yeah,
he's trying to kill everyone on the ship just for that. It's like, I don't believe that.
And then all of a sudden, he's just going to let his daughter go to this entity.
No, you would do everything. This entity
could be lying.
Yeah, you can do everything you can to try to save your daughter, not just, we just went into this nebula.
Yes.
Sure, I trust you. Here, take my daughter.
And I will say this, Joe. I mean, it actually is in way opposition of what they would have done that even Picard argued in a certain episode in TNG. I can't recall the episode name, but he was arguing against an entity where one of the crew members would grow up, or somebody wanted to take a child and away, but he was arguing, it's like, what kind of life is that without parents, without growing and having children and all these other kinds. So he was questioning the entity, which the Doctor never even questions. Like, could I get at least a little bit of an argument, at least some studying, at least
Nothing.
Film it or write it in a way where it's like, she is dying in 5 minutes and you need to make the decision. But no, he just kind of is like, go ahead, take my daughter, whatever. I guess I'm tired of researching.
And this is one that Alex is pointing out as well.
Yeah.
It's like he just stalled like that. It's like, all right, take my daughter. And then
Yes.
everyone just,
Perfect.
everything goes back to normal. It's like, what?
Show me that you're putting some thought into these episodes. I like some of these kooky, campy episodes because they have worked in the past and they can work in the future.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them not to do them. The thing is, you have to really nail it because what you're doing is the suspension of disbelief is lessened significantly because you've got Pike acting like a crazy person and you've got all of these other things happening. And so I need the story to be tight. I need it to be coherent. I need it to make sense. And it just didn't.
Yeah.
And so because it didn't, this whole episode fell apart at the seams.
Yeah.
And it didn't satisfy me anyway. I don't think that this is not even average because some of the other the episodes have been really, really good.
It's like a filler.
This is like below average filler, so I would give this a 4.
Ooh. Joe, what would you give it?
I'm torn between 4 and a 5 because of the ending. I did not believe at all. I'm just
I liked it
eh.
up until that decision and that resolution. I was like, it could have been a fun, wacky episode, and then they resolved the entity in a cool, sciencey way. but they just wrap it up. So I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10. What
6.
about you?
I'll go with a 5.
5. Okay. So moving on to one of the better episodes of the season. This one, another action-y, dark kind of thing. Starts with Uhura potentially leaving. She's still got that storyline. Do I belong? She hasn't decided. And then we get the scene where, you know, Ensign, who's playing, I'm sorry, I keep saying his name. It's Captain Pike, is washing the dishes, you know, after cooking for people, and then he gets Spock to finish washing the dishes. Like, motherfucker, if I cook, you wash the dishes. And they're all talking about intel while eating. You know, it's like we've never seen anything like that. He's a far more relaxed captain than we've seen in the past. You know, especially when he's like, you know, don't make me turn this car around, kind of dad. He's got dad vibes.
Yeah.
He's funny dad jokes, and I love it, and my girlfriend loves it too. So the production quality is amazing here when they go down to the planet and you see the background and you see this other constitution. At first, I didn't realize that it was another constitution that had crash landed because I was like, wait a minute, how's it? Oh, it's the USS. Fuck, I failed to write it down, but it's actually based on a real U.S. vessel. A lot of these USS whatever, when you hear, is actually U.S. Navy vessels that are in commission. So anyways, the background, this is simply the best looking Star Trek to date. Honestly, it is the best looking Star Trek ever. So that you can hang that little ribbon on Strange New Worlds. And this is where I wrote, the space in this show is a more beautified version. They kind of basically, you know how space is kind of boring. It's, you know, infinite and lots of space and black.
Well, it's not
and
called
stars.
stuff. It's called space.
Yeah,
There's
so but
nothing-
what they do is they take all the interesting things that could exist in space and condense it down, so where you get this rainbow-like nebula one second, and then the next second you're in a cool asteroid field, but it's not even an asteroid field. It's ice and comets, and it's just really cool the way they do this. So it's visually impressive. It's more varied than real space would be, or at least in a condensed area would be, and I fucking love it. And looking at this series, just looking at it is a joy, to put it simply. So they search this constitution that's crashed, and we get a alien
chest
yeah.
bursters.
We get chest bursters. I gotta say, I wrote down, wow, great practical looking effects on this alien dude. You know, he's like, right about there. You know, he's like, what the fuck is going on? Who is this guy? Why can't he speak English? If he was on a constitution, I don't know where this guy comes from. But then they do the Newt thing because he's protecting a little girl, Newt. And the problem is that I love it, right? But when you're sort of mimicking what you've seen in Aliens, and kind of the story is not up to that level, you run the danger, you run the risk of like, oh, I see what you're doing, and you're just not doing it as well. It's like they should have taken elements and paid homage. But here, it's like almost straight up Aliens. Newt, the fucking chest bursters. Like, there's too many elements. It goes too many steps too far. There's even Predator vision at one point and shit. And it's like, all right, I get it. But when you're doing it, like, why don't they fucking ask them what happened? Like, you know, they take forever to even talk to them about shit. I do like how they have rifles as standard issue. Like, you know, they're like, I don't give a fuck about cannon. We don't need to have these tiny little ones, right? They come in there fucking strapped and they're ready to go. So I'm like, okay, that's cool, because they want to do the Aliens Colonial Marines thing. But anyways, the babies burst out of that cool practical looking alien effect, and they immediately kill that crew lady. And I'm like, that's that fucking little girl. Did you notice she just left when she could have said something and that lady would still be alive? The little girl hides instead of warning them, and by the end of the episode, we got to protect this little girl.
Fuck the little girl.
I know, and then security officer's like, I got to leave the ship to take her to her family. No, fuck that little girl. I know it's supposed to be, oh, she's in survival mode, and this is how she survives, but you could still say, you might want to run or something.
Yeah, they come at night.
They come at night.
Say something.
Yeah, so Duke gets then there was a newly promoted dude when they were eating. This Duke guy becomes a lieutenant. He's like, hey, and then Duke dies.
Yeah.
Duke gets grabbed and dies. So new red shirts, but he was wearing the shirt you're wearing, Joe, there. So
Yeah, I was
might
gonna say, I
wanna
thought
check
it
the
was just
vents.
red shirts.
No.
It's not. No.
Well, technically they do kind of do a red shirt death here because Hemmer, unfortunately, and I didn't see this coming. I'm like, what?
neither.
No, I like this
Me
character. I
too.
don't. I get it. I like that there's emotional gravity because I did feel some emotion. And there's real tension because now the side characters can die. None of the main characters can die, but the side characters die. But it's like, why him? He was like one of my favorites because he's just an old crappy dude, and I just liked him.
Gets the job done no matter what.
Yeah, but he sacrifices himself because apparently these Gorn have baby spray.
Yeah.
Gross. You know what I mean? So he got hit with that Gorn spray, so he's going to turn and eventually have babies burst out of him. He says, fuck that.
He got pregnant.
And
Son of a bitch.
He got spray pregnant, and then he just, yeah. Alex,
That's what
you
they
have some-
did.
You have something to say?
Nope.
That's what
Something
happened.
to add?
Nope.
Something gross to add?
No.
So he fucking jumps out of the ship and commits suicide. I don't blame that guy because I don't know why.
Painful
Ripped
death.
open. Yeah, he kills the fucking Gorn. Obviously, dies on impact. And we have a funeral for the lost people, not just Hammer, but the two other crew members that died. And then, oddly, Lon leaves to help the girl find her family. I'm like, you're an officer. No, we need you. This is stupid. Fuck this little girl. But Uhura decides to stay. Yeah. So. Anyways, while it was very derivative, and now that I'm talking about it, I feel like lowering my rating, but when I initially saw it, I gave it a 9 out of 10. The visuals were cool. The story was cool. But you know what? I think I'm going to go down to an 8 because, like I said, it sticks a little bit too closely and a little too derivative of things that I like.
I'm gonna give it a super biased 8. And I'm definitely rounding up because I mean it is putting itself really close to things that I absolutely love, but I mean like you mentioned, it's when you're trying to mimic something and you're too close. We're gonna do a direct comparison. It's like you just didn't do good enough.
Disservice.
But it looked amazing, and I was actually terrified going into this episode because when I first started watching 6, it was like okay. And 7 was a little, and then it was like,
Like, wait a
oh,
minute.
are we in like a free fall of quality? And I was like, oh, okay, this, and it came back up, and so I'm gonna round up to an 8.
Same for me. It came back up. It was an 8 for me. I really enjoyed this one. This one was I did not expect
Horror
the crew
movie.
member. Yeah, it was a horror movie. I did not expect them to kill off some crew members already.
Yeah. And I didn't want
Especially
them to.
some likable ones.
Yeah, Hammer. Episode 10. So I guess does this clear the way for Scotty? And there is a little Easter egg in episode 10. Scotty's voice is in
Yeah,
it. So I
is
wonder
in
if
it.
they're going to cast a young Scotty in season 2 and Scotty replaces Hammer, or if we'll have one more degree and another engineer guy will get killed before Scotty
I
comes
don't
or
know.
something. Anyways, episode 10, we get the edge of the neutral zone with the Romulans, and this is one of the better episodes in TOS, the original series, where Kirk has this encounter with a cloaking fucking bird of prey, and this war going on with the Romulans in the neutral zone, done in that, and they kind of do it here, just with some cool twists. Pike, we get a resolution, hopefully, to his Fate storyline. Do I change Fate? Do I just stay with Fate? Because Una brought the point, well, you what if you change it, right? And so he starts to think, okay, I'm going to change it, especially when he's they're doing some diplomacy or something, or they're talking about star bases and what that star base needs in order to fight or be ready for the Romulans. And a little kid walks in, and it's one of the names that he's been reoccurring, like saying in his head. And when he meets it, it affects him. This kid's so excited to meet him too, and he's like, "Fuck! Like, I have to give my life to save this kid's life," and he just can't take it. He goes out of the room, and
This is where he meets up with his older self.
yeah, he meets up with his older self. But first, we have a guest star, not a guest star, the girl from episode 1 that he had sex with and made breakfast for comes back. Didn't expect to see her back in the series. And she serves on the Cayuga. And so she factors in a tiny bit. But then we go to that Joe. Go ahead. What did you say there?
So he meets up with
His future
his
self?
future self. He's like, am I dreaming? You don't know what the fuck is going on. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm not
and he's wearing the
dreaming.
cool, like, classic battle outfit from, well, you haven't seen the Wrath of Khan, and then later Star Trek with Kirk. He's wearing a cool, like, that's the way their uniforms looked when they, yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
It's cool little things. So, it's his older version of himself, and he shows his younger version what would happen if he decides to save everybody and then not blow up in there and with a time crystal. Very convenient that he gets this time crystal, and very convenient that the monks in this Klingon. I don't even believe the whole monk Klingon thing. Like, the monk and Klingon don't really go together, but I guess fine.
Battle monks?
Battle monks, fine. They should just say battle monk every time, right? But, okay, so they let him out to show what he would do. And it's basically the cause of a new Romulan war. And it is fucking sweet. And in the storyline of this bird of prey, they even use the old special effects, because that's the way the beam kind of, the powerful weapon looked in TOS. So it kind of, if you're wondering why that effect looked bad and all the other effects, is because they're just
we do
kind of doing a nostalgia. Yeah, and so it blows up a fucking star base, and it was the father of that child. Though that's the one, me and my girlfriend laughed at that one thing, and we were like, why did they need to include that special effects shot? They should have just gone from it firing and then showing the exterior shot of the base blowing up, because that was impressive. But they actually held the shot on him getting hit, and he does the 15 tumbles and flies out, and it looked too hokey. Unfortunately, they couldn't pull that one off, but everything else looked amazing. And so they get into this fight, and Captain Kirk shows up on the Farragut, which is a ship he served on before he took control of the Enterprise, but he was like a first officer, not the captain. But because it's a different timeline, he's the captain of the Farragut. And he's like the loose cannon, and they're kind of wondering, and that's an actual USS ship that's in service, or was in service. And he's worried that Kirk might, set off this war. He's more the even-handed, and Kirk is more this hot shot kind of thing. But it turns out Kirk is just as clever as his TOS's version, because Pike does the diplomacy thing, as Kirk did in TOS, to try to talk through with the captain of the other ship. It's like, look, our ships are, they're racing to the neutral zone, and we don't have to continue this fight. I'm going to give you time to repair. And unfortunately, during that repair, just the Romulans' hatred of the humans, his second officer, without permission, calls in the fleet. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Romulan fleet shows up, jumps in, and it's just the Enterprise. And I'm like, oh, this is fucked. And do they blow up right here? Real tension again, because we are in a fake universe. And it just makes me lament the fact that they didn't say, you know what? This is a different timeline. Everything is off. All bets are off, because in here we're in a different timeline. I'm like, he could die here. Now it's a fake death because he's just seeing a vision, but there's tension, right? But no, at the last minute, Kirk shows up with a bunch of fleets, and I'm like, what the fuck kind of ships are those? And he's like, hey, they don't know that these are mining vessels. And it was just well done. Has that intelligence, solving a problem in a fun way that you believe. And it was awesome. So what did y'all think of that one?
Well, final verdict for me, that one's going to be a 9. I really enjoyed this one. The tension was there. They had to think their way out of the solution, as opposed to like an instant thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. I thought Kirk was going to die, but he actually doesn't. He beams over.
I didn't think he was going to die.
You didn't think it was? Because I was like, okay, so the consequences of him saving himself and all of the people, like, people on his ship start dying, like his number one or this and Kirk and all this other, but it was basically just the offset of a Romulan war.
Yeah, well, and Spock dying.
And Spock is
the most important. Because Spock spends the next 900 years across all of Star Trek fixing everything. So it's just like, he's got to live.
Yeah.
I like this episode. I do not like fate and time travel most of the time in Star Trek. I don't think it's done very, very, very well. I don't like its application here in this series at all. And I was worried about it in this whole series at all, right? Episode 1, where he's like, I'm worried about my fate. It's like, I don't want that in this series. And I was worried it was going to be heavy-handed. It wasn't. I was actually surprised most of the time.
Happily surprised. I thought it was. Did you think it was handled well here in episode 10? The little
no.
No, you don't.
No, but I still think everything else was pretty solid, and so I'm willing to do a lot of hand waving. I'm actually going to give this one a 9. I actually liked it all the way through. Once we got through all of it loses the whole point for the timey bullshit. And I got this crystal. We're gonna do the Christmas Carol thing. It's like,
I know, but it's sci-fi. We gotta do come on, there's plenty of that shit in TOS.
Oh, agree. But it's a lot of times I don't like it there either, and so I think that that it was handled pretty well here. I would have liked to see significantly more people die in the Vision. That was
cool.
that was a blank check for them
Yeah.
to do something crazy,
Whatever they
and
wanted.
potentially murdering Spock because
Yeah.
he's not even guaranteed to die in that
Yeah.
universe. Is like
Why
not
did
enough.
Why did they have kid gloves on? No, man, just fucking go.
Yeah, like have a hard hitting ending that radically changes Pike. You know, like and then but I
And
think
he's
they
like, this is way worse than me.
Holy
but
shit.
maybe that's why they didn't want to do that, because they still want to be like, well, then it's automatic that he's going to do what he needs to do, and that takes away from his sacrifice.
Well, we have characters that we know as
But
fans
it's
of
gonna
Star
happen
Trek
anyway.
that we know that Pike as a character doesn't know. So we as fans can watch people that are really important. We can watch Scotty die. Pike
Yeah.
doesn't know who that is.
Exactly.
And so we can go like, holy shit, this is horrible.
Right.
And so
They
it
didn't
won't
do any of
change
that.
him as a character, and it would just be impactful for us, but we didn't get it.
Fuck you, Alex. You made me lower mine from a 10. It was at a 10 to a 9. Because he's right. We need to press this. And guys, we literally just watched these.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to mull over things a little bit. So episode 10, 9 out of 10. Really fucking good. And this is the direction I like to see. And what's great is it got renewed for a season 2. So I'm very much looking forward to season 2 in 2023. And I highly recommend that you go out and watch it. This is a series that I could say, go out and watch all 10 episodes and see if you agree with us on episode 8 being caca, poo-poo. But I liked it except for the decision that the doctor makes at the end and the resolution.
It's
of his daughter.
ridiculous. Doesn't make sense.
It is. You're right. But hey, you know what?
9 out of 10 ain't
One or
bad.
two missteps in a whole fucking season. Hey, we're doing pretty good, right? Instead of 57 fucking errors in a single episode times 9 in, Picard. Fuck that.
Or 0.
So, yeah, on the new Trek curve, 11 out of 10.
So we
guys.
get Picard season 3 before we get Strange New Worlds 2, right?
I'm not sure the timing exactly. They're both in 2023, I think. So
I'm sick that year.
yeah. You're sick the whole year.
Can we all watch that?
Yeah.
No! Hey, look, RLM's not going to watch it. We have to fucking watch it. Somebody has to warn
Damn it.
and go through it.
We
so
can
that
just tell
motherfuckers don't
people
have
we
to
watched
watch
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Terrible.
yeah, we're just going to make up what
Bullshit.
happened.
Don't watch it.
Anyways, thank y'all so much for watching us. And if you like these extended things where we do these side things, consider joining our Patreon. Hit some of these links down below. Support the show. Grab some merch. Or just subscribe and tell your friends. Thank you so much. And we will see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.